Good afternoon on this Tuesday, the 10th of January. This is your 28storms.com cyclone update. The main action today lies to the north of Port Hedland, where the Bureau of Meteorology is monitoring a broad area of low pressure. As of right now, they are giving this system a moderate chance of becoming a tropical cyclone before making landfall along western Australia, although they do think that there is a better chance that this system provides some gale force winds and heavy rainfall. Meanwhile, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center is giving the system a medium chance of becoming a tropical cyclone, and they are also monitoring two separate areas of low pressure in the South Pacific, but neither one looks all that impressive at this time. Today's visible satellite animation shows that this tropical low has become better organized over the past 24 hours. Thus, that is the main reason why we cannot rule out this system becoming a minimal, borderline Category 1 cyclone just prior to landfall. And you can also see the increasing convection on the standard infrared, but the water vapor shows the true story. It looks as though as the system begins to inch closer to the coastline, it will begin to encounter a little bit in the way of stronger northwest vertical wind shear. We have this persistent trough over western Australia, and the trough is not expected to lift out anytime soon. Weak upper-level ridging is trying to set up over the developing area of low pressure, but it's not very well established, thus the reason why there is some moderate vertical wind shear already in place. And as you can see, once this low begins to move more toward the south, it's only going to run into increasingly more hostile conditions. So the overall assessment from the Bureau of Meteorology, which includes the idea that this system will remain just below cyclone status, but still provide some very significant rainfall and possibly some flooding, along with gale force winds, that appears to be fairly good at this time, because as we can see, there is a strong fetch of moisture stemming from the southeast Indian Ocean, and this is going to be the continuing pattern here for the next 48 to 72 hours. The following is the latest precipitation forecast for the next 5 days from the GFS model, and some of these darker colors denote areas exceeding over 250 millimeters of precipitation. And keep in mind that this area is not really accustomed to witnessing this much rainfall in such a short period of time, so therefore that is the main concern with this weather feature. It is still somewhat too difficult to forecast where exactly the highest precipitation totals will occur, but the good news is that the GFS model is not showing much in the way of organization by the time the system makes landfall, and in fact it's keeping much of the tropics relatively quiet throughout the forecast period. The latest run from the ECMWF is rather similar. We see the broad area of low pressure beginning to make landfall here within the next 48 hours, and then as we go into day 3 and day 4, there's really not much left of that system, and then as we go through the rest of the forecast period, there's really nothing much on the charts. As mentioned before, the Joint Typhoon Warning Center has also been monitoring a couple separate areas of low pressure in the South Pacific, but as we can see on the water vapor imagery, it looks as though wind shear, as a result of several upper-level troughs, is really disrupting any type of organization, so no development is expected out here for at least the next 3 days. And finally, our last stop takes us into the Indian Ocean, where we can see over Madagascar the remnants of Tropical Cyclone Chanda are continuing to move southeastward, so the weather conditions across Madagascar are finally beginning to clear out. The storm did make landfall as a minimal cyclone, as was expected here several days ago, but luckily the rest of the Indian Ocean is fairly quiet, and as we saw in the dynamical model guidance, it looks as though the Indian Ocean is going to be void of any cyclone activity, at least over the next few days. So that is all for now from us here at 28storms.com. Thanks for stopping by.